That was horrible.
Hey, Isaac, I think something's wrong with Science Jim.
Yeah, he doesn't look too good.
Nor is it to be thought that man is either the oldest or the last of Earth's masters, or that the common bulk of life and substance walks alone. The Jim Davises once were, the Jim Davises ones are, and the Jim Davises one shall be. I know the spaces know, but between them they walk serene and primal, undiminished between us and to be unseen. Garfield! Garfield knows the gate. Garfield is the gate. Garfield is the key and the guardian of the gate. Past, present, future, all are one in Garfield. He knows the Jim Davis broke through the ones of old, and where they shall break through again. Normal tread. Garfield lasagna, root to lasagna. Garfield.
Jim?
Jim,
You good?
Hey, why did he steal your Necronomicon?
Something just happened. Yeah, Jim, that's my Necronomicon. You gotta ask him if you can borrow that thing. Come on now. You
kind of intense.
Are you okay? Is he dead? Jim? No, he's unresponsive.
I think Science Jim's dead.
I think Jim died.
If you look into his eyes, all you see is lasagna.
Oh, Garfield killed Science Jim, everybody.
I think he just summoned an elder god.
An Elder Garfield.
An elder Garfield.
My favorite eldritch being is Garfield.
Let's move the Necronomicon away.
Yeah, we grabbed this Necronomicon, lovely Necronomicon, but it's got to go now. I think I don't want to be summoning any more Garfields than I have to personally, because we typically summon many in an episode, and so I think we'll call it good on that one. The Eldritch Field.
I would like you to know that. Sidebar, real talk.
Yeah.
I took an actual passage from the actual Necronomicon.
What?
And changed out all of the old ones' names with Jim Davis and Garfield and Numal.
And his name is Nermal.
Numal.
You keep saying this.
I mean, I wrote Nermal, but I said Numal.
Numal, yeah.
That's the funniest thing about it.
You wrote it down as like Nuermal.
Don't read my writing.
Nuermal. Nuermal.
So, what is the Necronomicon?
I don't know. Can you pass it to me real quick?
Yeah.
It's a book, and I'm gonna see if it has anything interesting to say in here. Okay. It's a big. Okay, in this book it says, "I am Isaac." I'll read this part here.
Oh, I am Derek,
and that was horrible.
Oh.
It's a podcast where we do our best to reviewing the worst in the horror community, straight from the good book itself.
And. Something else book. About us. If anyone ever asks you what podcast you listen to, and you're like, well, I'm listening to that, What's Horrible? And they're like, what's that? You say, it's like Cliff Notes, but mixed with Mystery Science
Theater 3000. Yeah, exactly. Because it's like, you get the information like a Cliff Notes, like a Spark Notes would give you, right? And then we also sit here and kind of riff and goof on the bits.
We gaff.
We gaff, we gif. I don't know.
We repeat every 20 seconds.
We gif or we jiff if that's your vibe, but it's wrong, so whatever.
We gyrate.
we jiff, we gyrate, we gif, we gaff on the movies and such. So yeah, if anybody, that's a great way to describe it. It's like if Mystery Science Theater and Spark Notes had a baby.
Yeah.
Mystery Science Spark Notes.
It's like...
That's us.
It's Spark Science Theater.
Spark Science Theater Mystery. It's a mysterious Spark Theater. Is that us?
Does everyone... I don't know if everybody knows what the Necronomicon is.
It's a book.
But
it's
is it?
Begin.
It's
bound in flesh.
Well,
written in blood.
Some of them are.
Most
the
of
ones
them
from
are.
Evil Dead are.
At least the ones from the Evil Dead, yeah. Great movies. All of the above.
The Necronomicon is a book about Garfield.
It's a book about Garfield, yeah. It's
so
his book is actually called the Snackronomicon.
Oh my god.
And it's got all just like recipes for lasagna up in there.
That's incredible. Hey, so I have an announcement.
You have an announcement?
Tomorrow is Isaac's birthday.
Hey.
Guess what?
What?
It's on a Monday.
Oh my god. Did you hear that, Garfield? My birthday's on a Monday. I love Monday.
Sorry, I think you probably thought you had a birthday present or something, which you do, but I don't have it for you.
No,
right
you're
now.
fine. I was mostly just like, what's he about to say to me? I didn't even make the connection. Yeah, my birthday's on a Monday this year.
I got Isaac nothing but Garfield merch for his birthday.
Oh,
so
yay.
He has that to look forward to.
Goody for me. I love the good field content.
Because for some reason we've become a Garfield podcast, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and we've had enough feedback from enough like fans, I suppose you could say. It's weird to say like fans. Like we're just two dudes who watch movies.
Yeah, I could use a fan right now. It's kind of hot in here.
Yeah, it's a little warm. But anyway, we've had enough response from enough fans that are like, the Garfield content works enough. We do enough of it, and I don't think we need any more, and think we will struggle to get less. I don't think it will be easy.
Not asking for less.
No,
not telling us to do less.
No.
But just like, hey, we get it. You're gonna do it anyway.
Yeah.
Might as well.
We can't stop you. Is the thing. You cannot stop us from discussing Garfield on this podcast.
I mean, you probably could if you asked nicely.
Which is funny because it is just not a horror character. There is no horror Garfield. It just doesn't work like that.
Harfield exists, and you need to embrace him.
Horfield. I feel like there's got to be a better name for that.
Bartholomew.
Scar. Can we like Scarfield?
Jimmy Field.
Is that the
Jimmy
evil
Field.
Garfield is Scarfield. That's me, Scarfield. You know what's really upsetting?
What?
I had this thought the other day because I was thinking about, how terrible it is that Chris Pratt is going to be in the Garfield movie.
Yeah, it's terrible, awful.
It's awful, it's bad. And I'm like, who else, like, actually realistically would I want to do it? I think, I don't know, I feel like Bill Murray gets some shit for the one that he did.
No,
I like his Garfield very much. You know who I think 100% no joke would do a good job at voicing Garfield?
Who?
H. John Benjamin.
Oh, that would be incredible.
The voice of Bob from Bob's Burgers.
Yeah.
I would really, really like to see him take a stab at Garfield. Don't stab Garfield.
How do you do his voice? It's like
it's like that.
Lynn.
Hey,
Lynn,
get in here.
No, John, lasagna. John. Don't itch there, John.
Now, because you do this voice really well. There's a part, this happens often in Bob's Burgers where like he loves turkeys for Thanksgiving, and when he's cooking them, he does a voice for the turkeys, and it's always the same. Derek does really good. So Derek, give me Garfield talking to his lasagna, and it's like the turkey.
All right, lasagna, you ready to go? Yeah, Garfield, we're ready. Okay, I'm gonna put you in the oven now. Okay, Gar, I'm ready. Oh, I love you, Garfield. Bye.
I love you too, lasagna.
Hey, that was good. You even had like that weird like
he has certain cadences to the way he speaks.
My first vision of H. John Benjamin in my life was when he played a can of green beans in that Wet Hot American Summer TV show.
That's a thing?
Yeah.
He played a can of green beans?
Yeah, that show goes wild. And like there's a part where there's like radioactivity and like a can gets possessed by it's
possessed by H. John Benjamin.
Basically. It's a wild journey.
Jim Davis Benjamin.
H. John David. So why are we talking so much about Lovecraft today?
We're talking about we haven't even mentioned Lovecraft.
No, we haven't.
Just the Necronomicon, which leads into the Eldritch thing. Well, I guess you did start. We were talking about Eldritch Garfield.
H.P. Lovecraft, Harry Potter Lovecraft.
Hold on, can we back it up a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
So H. John Benjamin, right? It's a great name. He's got 3 names in there, right? What if we just like take it's the first one's just an initial. Let's take the H one. H. John Benjamin. You know who that kind of sounds like? H.P. Benjamin or H.P. Lovecraft. Because you pretend I did that segue the first time.
You love the craft and you love the love.
You love Kraft mac and cheese. You love it so much you craft it.
I would summon love mac and cheese from the great beyond. So we've talked a lot about how Science Jim is from hell. And he is an eldritch being.
You guys know this, right? He's not just like your
That's
average.
canon.
We didn't just find him on the street. Yeah. He came from a portal from hell.
Which is why he was able to decipher the Necronomicon.
I can't read this gobbledygook.
The reason we're talking about that at all is because we watched the Dunwich Horror from 1970.
An adaptation of an H.P. Lovecraft tale.
And me, Derek, personally, this guy, not character Derek, but like real Derek,
real life Derek, like actual Derek,
loves Lovecraft. Yeah. I've been a big fan for a long time, read a lot of the stories. They're all just short stories that he wrote back in the olden times when books didn't exist.
And we've already reviewed an H.P. Lovecraft tale with Reanimator. It was an adaptation of a very short H.P. Lovecraft story.
Yeah. It was barely even H.P. Lovecraft.
He literally wrote it to make money. He'd had no love for the story. Lovecraft did not love it.
There was no craft
love. There was no love in that craft.
There was no love in that craft.
But there was some love in this craft, I think.
But if you aren't super familiar, H.P. Lovecraft was an American writer from like the 1920s, 1930s. And he was kind of like the first to be like the cosmic horror, right? Like he really established cosmic horror.
The charge on that one.
A lot of fun. He was specialized in doing really weird words that would confuse the reader and scare them because the unknown is scarier than the known.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's why I like him.
Thing like Eldritch Horror is really like in the simplest sense of the term. It's like, fear of the unknown. This literally great unknowable thing. To hear it would lead you to madness, kind of thing, right? To try to understand.
Which is where you get names like Yog-Sothoth, which is the big bad from this story.
And what's a more commonly known more commonly known eldritch big beast that I didn't almost just say?
Ithaqua?
Close. Maybe another one.
Cthulhu, I think is the one.
That's the one. Yeah. When I was a kid, I used to scare myself by going to YouTube and looking up those videos of like Cthulhu sounds caught on video. So it'd be like a video of like a camera under the ocean. You just hear like a boop, 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 and it's like, oh, that's him. I heard it. That's him. He's real. He lives there.
That's
Sleeping
really funny.
under the oceans.
I kind of just was always fascinated with the cosmic world.
Yeah.
That sounds so stupid.
You love space, the cosmos.
No,
It's
I mean,
all out there.
we talked about it a little bit in my top 10, but that's like kind of one of the things that's always scared me the most. And okay, let's delve in. We got time.
Let's get in.
How much time we got, Jim?
It's therapy time.
Oh, right.
Jim's
dead.
Jim's dead.
So, oh my God, Jim Davis.
It's always been.
Holy shit.
It's all coming together.
Is Science Jim the reincarnation
We've never learned
of
his last
Jim
name.
Davis
His last name's not Jim.
from
Is
the
he
cosmos?
Science Jim Davis?
Oh my God. Is that how Jim Davis wrote all of the Garfield comics? He read passages from the Necronomicon
And it
beckoning.
came to him in these
beckoning-
nightmarish sequences. He saw these fever dreams, these awful images of this orange cat, and he just goes slobbery awful on this lasagna. He loves it so much.
Slobbery awful. What were we talking about? Oh, yeah, let's delve into this. So I'm not
Space.
I'm not really
The
scared.
final frontier.
I'm not really scared of aliens per se, because I personally, and we shouldn't get personal beliefs in here, but we can pretend that this is character, Derek.
Yeah.
I think that there is definitely something out there, because think about it. There's no way in garbage, and I used garbage instead of hell. There's no way in garbage that
You're a hell is garbage.
that we are alone in this great expanse of the universe, right? Like, think about it.
Yeah.
Think about it. There's no way.
Well, like if we live in an infinitely expanding universe, right? It's like it's very naive, I feel. Like personally feel naive to believe that there is absolutely no other life out there whatsoever.
Now-
so that's why I can say like I believe in aliens. I don't know if necessarily it's in the sense that we have conjured up as a society, you know,
Yeah.
little green men or whatever, what have you. They got tentacles and stuff. I don't know exactly what they look like, but it feels awfully likely that somewhere, probably not even close at all to us, exists something.
Right. So like 15 years ago or 12 years ago, I got really, really into Lovecraft. I started like reading all of his books. And then I started playing a board game called Eldritch Horror, which is a fantastic board game, and played lots of it and learned a lot of stories. And ever since then, I've just been a big fan. So I was like, Isaac, you know what? What is it, Derek? I want to watch a movie about Lovecraft.
That sounds really fun. I think that's a good idea.
Because I wanted to watch like a straight adaptation, right? We watched
Yes.
Reanimator, which was very, very loosely based.
Exactly. Didn't have a ton to base it off of in the first place, right?
Yeah.
And there are actually like I feel like there are a decent amount. I feel like often the Lovecraft adaptations are not fantastic. I only feel like within recent years we've been getting better ones, and now we're getting an adaptation of The Call of Cthulhu from director James Wan, which is I don't know. I'm intrigued.
James Wan is like flipping a 10-sided coin, and only like three sides of it will be good, but you don't know which sides it is
Three sides
until
of
it's
this coin.
Yeah, so you got a 10-sided coin.
Oh, okay.
And you
I
flip
think it's
it.
just a die at that point. I think it's dice.
Yeah, but you pay for candy bars with it. It's a 10-sided coin, and you flip it.
In the future, we're gonna have a world like Fallout, where instead of using bottle caps for currency, we're gonna use dice.
Yeah, that's incredible. And you have to roll to see how much money it's worth at the moment.
So like you have a D10, it doesn't mean it's worth 10 cents or $10 or whatever.
Yeah.
It could be worth $1. You're like,
all right, that's going to be
shit.
$1.50. Crap. Wait, no, it's going
Can you
to be a
imagine
25. Crap, I only have 2 D20s. I might get lucky. I only rolled 24.
It's like you're at the bar drinking with your friends, right? And it's like you're like, hold on, everybody, rolls. You get two nat 20s. All right, guys, drinks are on me.
Drinks are on me. Or you're there and you're like, can somebody spot me a D4? I'm down 2. I'm down 2, please, somebody. Anyway, what I was saying about James Wan, he's a 10-sided coin, and you flip it, and 3 of those sides are a good movie, but you don't know which one it is, and they morph.
Yeah.
So, like, it's going to land, and you're like, is it going to be a good movie? Not
And there
really.
are good things about some of them. Like I know a lot of people give shit to the Aquaman movie. I haven't seen Aquaman 2 because it looks pretty mid. But I saw Aquaman 1 and kind of enjoyed it, not gonna lie. But
I
there
didn't
is
see it.
specifically this one sequence where the main character, Aquaman, and his lady friend are like running
Aquafina?
from these sea beasts. Yeah, it's Aquaman and Aquafina, of course. They're running from these sea creatures that are from like the trenches. They're these like scary looking humanoid like fish creatures that just have like a big gaping mouth for their face.
Cool.
They're really cool designs. I like them a lot. But there's a cool sequence sequence where they're running from them, like off of this boat. They like have a flare in their hands. They dive into the water, and there's this beautiful shot where they're diving deeper, and all of them are swarming around them.
Cool.
It looks really cool. All that is to say is like if there is some water to be used in this Call of Cthulhu movie, I think James Wan we're in good hands with him.
Well, that's good.
I think it might be pretty cool. Like that scene was so good, they were actually going to make a spin-off about the trench from the Aquaman movie, which I think is a dumb spin-off to be making, but that sequence was so good that it almost spun a spin-off.
You
got canceled,
gotta give him credit where credit's due, right? Like he's done good work. I really do enjoy the original Saw. I thought the original Saw was really good. It established quite a series, right? Or like we watched Dead Silence not too long ago. And
That's right.
I thought Dead Silence was better than people made it out to be.
Really,
at least was really good in concept. Or even Malignant. Like,
yes,
he's got good things under his belt.
He's got this strange thing where it's like you don't think you're on board with the movie. You're like, okay, maybe I am. Then about like 2/4 of the way through I guess halfway through the movie, you're like, I don't really know about this. But then like 3/4 of the way through, some crazy
Something
shift happens and the entire movie is worth it. I feel like both Malignant and Dead Silence were that way.
Oh, absolutely.
Where it's just kind of like, I don't know. And then there's a little bit like almost when you're about to be like, maybe I regret watching this movie. Bam, something crazy happens and you're like, this movie kicks ass now.
I don't regret watching Malignant at all.
Oh, absolutely not. Please watch Malignant. Only for like the ending alone, because shit gets crazy.
The ending of that movie was wild. So, freaking James Wan.
Yeah.
I think he's James wannabe M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh, is that right? For the twist?
Wannabe.
James wannabe.
Get it?
I wanna be like M. Night Shyamalan with all my twists in my movies.
I want to talk like
James
Shyamalan, walk like Shyamalan. What are you drinking today?
What am I drinking today? I don't know. I've been given a mystery cup full of unknowable liquids that are driving me to madness. Glug, 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 glug.
So, it's a Lovecraft cocktail.
You've crafted a Lovecraftian cocktail?
No, it's a Lovecraft cocktail because they call craft cocktails.
That's beautiful.
That's what we call comedy. So today, I
haven't seen into the abyss, and I've created the ultimate drink. And inside that drink is everything that's unknowable, everything that is believable, and everything that is good and drinks.
Derek, Derek, hey, Derek, wake up! Oh, he's dead. Okay, so it's me now. Hi, everyone. Welcome to That Was Horrible. I am your sole host, Isaac, and I'm scared to drink this drink now. And Derek is back from the dead. Oh my gosh, you cool?
Are you ready to record today? Do we need to get everything set up?
We're like in it, man. It's happening right now.
What?
Yeah, tell me what's in this drink here.
Everything unknown.
No, not again.
Just kidding. No, so
How'd
today
you go in there?
Today's just a berry spritzer. So got some vodkas in there. You got a little tequila in there. I put some grenadine in there with some Sprite, and then I put some tentacles on the outside because it's just like a little craft cocktail. I thought it'd be clever to just do like a standard craft cocktail and
by tentacles, we mean Sour Patch watermelons.
But they stretch them out and you dangle them over the edge and they kind of look like tentacles.
Kind of look like tentacles, not going to lie. They're pretty good.
Half of me making cocktails for this podcast is just making a normal drink, calling it something weird, and then putting a garnish on it.
I mean, like that's all anything is, really. That's all this podcast is, you know?
But it's
we throw a bunch of stuff in here, we put a garnish on top of it, and then bam, it's a podcast.
Bing, bang, boom. What do you got? You got a podcast.
Mamma mia, that's a great podcast pie.
Can I just read you this sentence?
Yeah, read me a sentence.
Because I was really proud of this.
Okay, yeah, go.
They walk serene and primal, undiminished, and to us unseen. Garfield knows the gate. Garfield is the gate. Garfield is the key and the guardian of the gate. Past, present, future are all one in Garfield. He knows where the Jim Davis ones broke through of old, and where they shall break through again. They have trod Odie's field, where Nermal still treads them, and why no one can behold them as Nermal tread. By their smell can men know them near, but their semblance can no man know, saving only in the features they have begotten mankind. Garfield Zanya. I'm sorry. I wrote that. I spent a long time writing that today.
There's a lot of writing here.
Well, okay. I didn't write this. H.P. Lovecraft wrote this.
Fair.
I read the Dunwich Horror before watching the movie.
That's true. Yeah, we should get into that because you mentioned to me, you're like, I think I'm going to read this before we watch it. That was like less than a day before we even watch it. I was like, Derek, do you have time to just read a whole thing?
Bear in mind, it's only like 30 pages.
Yeah,
so it's very quick. The hardest thing about reading Lovecraft is reading Lovecraft.
Really though, because you had to go through
very descriptive.
You had to go through some methods of like reading this right and then going back to it. Because sorry to sound like a dunce, but Lovecraft, great, wonderful writer, I'm sure, but like kind of difficult to get through sometimes.
It's kind of difficult to digest. I read a good portion of it, then I went and read a abridged version, then I went back and finished it out. And I'm glad I did finish it out because there was a lot that wasn't in the abridged version that I did get from the actual story. This is actually one of my favorite Lovecraft stories now, from the ones I've read. I mean, I guess I can't really say that because I love them all.
Yeah.
But like,
they're all my children. I love them all.
But this one was really fun. And this one is special in that it has the longest passages from the Necronomicon. So what I actually did is I took one of those passages and just changed the names of Yog-Sothoth and the elder ones
and
to
turn
be
them into Jim Davis and Garfield.
That's comedy.
Weren't you telling me that like Lovecraft was the one that invented like the term Necronomicon as a thing?
Yeah, so
or at least started using it in the books and such.
Yeah,
it came to him in a dream.
The Necronomicon throughout Lovecraft is this source of mystical power. Basically, it's a book that has. It's like, think of it as like a spell book, right? It is full of information
rituals
and spells,
and rites and passages.
The world of Lovecraft is so complicated and so interesting. Like, but basically, what you need to understand, it's like real life, but they believed that there was this ancient race of gods and people, and those people like. It's so hard.
It is literally like, trying to explain unknowable things that lead men to madness. Like, how can you describe it?
And each story is like a different thing that happens inside of this shared universe, right? Cthulhu comes from the waters of Raleigh, and then Dunwich is a town in which this horror takes place. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to stop trying to explain it because I'm not an expert. I need to say that. I just enjoy the content and read it, and I
share
take
like
a
passing knowledge about Lovecraft and enjoy the works and such. Neither of us are professionals by any means here.
But part of the reason I wanted to read it, other than just enjoying it, and I think I had read it years and years ago, but I couldn't remember it at all, is I wanted to see how much the movie actually was like true to it, because I personally have not watched a horror movie that stayed true to the Lovecraft story yet. Seen a few movies based on Lovecraft stories because they happen all the time and have taken a lot. But I've yet to watch a movie that I was like, well, that was faithful.
Yeah, exactly. Often there are a lot of liberties taken. And like, what are you going to do? You can't summon H.P. Lovecraft to be on set with you for this movie.
Well, and
if he did, he'd probably just say a lot of racist stuff, in all honesty.
Probably, but we don't need to talk about that.
Nah.
So the author is dead, right? So what we need to talk about right now, though, in my brain, I've been thinking about it. I think part of the reason it's so hard to get a Lovecraft adaptation right is everybody has their own interpretation of what it means to have a good adaptation of Lovecraft.
True.
Because so much of his content is cerebral, and it's through the medium of reading. And he wrote it to be scary by digesting it through words, right?
Yeah.
So to take that and put it on a screen or put it in a game, like, I think that's why the board game works so well, because you're still reading it. You're still providing that red, like, you're still like digesting it through words, right?
And I feel like there is a decent amount of like, when you are reading things, you fill in certain gaps, you create this image in your head of what this looks like, right? It is, every interpretation of it is kind of your personal thing, which is why I feel like it, like you're right, it is very difficult to adapt an H.P. Lovecraft story, because it is like, like I've mentioned a lot now, it's like he's literally trying to describe these unknowable things and giving you not a ton to go off of about them. So like, your mind creates a lot. So then for someone to put that to screen and give you a definitive version of this, it makes it a lot harder.
Oh yeah. And I mean, we'll get into that too, going through like my interpretation of the story versus what was put on the screen. Like, for example, the main character of the story, his name's Wilbur. In the book, he's described as a gross-smelling, foul man with goatish attributes.
Yes,
like he was in my brain, he was like a goat man. So I expected something like from the end of that goat movie. What is it? What is it called? Lamb.
Yeah.
So like I was expecting like a goat man,
and instead all we got was a man with a weird-looking mustache.
Instead, I got a freaking like wannabe Anthony Hopkins with a creepy mustache.
Yeah, really. That
not Anthony Hopkins. Who's the guy from Psycho? Anthony Perkins.
Anthony Perkins.
Psycho. I'm outing myself.
Psycho. It is
Anthony
your favorite
Perkins.
movie. Yeah. Okay,
Anthony
so you
Perkins.
got it. You know. You
Anthony
knew it.
Hopkins. Wannabe Anthony Perkins is what I meant. They're both Anthonys.
Wannabe Anthony Hopkins, kind of a wannabe like Jeffrey Combs too. He was
Yes,
giving me a lot
yes,
of like Reanimator vibes from it. Just a touch, though.
Just a touch. Well, I don't
Cannot
know.
meet
When did
the
Reanimator
wonder
come
of
out?
Jeffrey Combs though, because Jeffrey Combs has done some fantastic work in those movies.
I mean, Reanimated came out 15 years after this movie, though.
yeah, exactly.
That's interesting.
So maybe he took his deal and he was like, "I see this, I like it. I'm going to do so much better. Though. Don't even worry about
much better.
it."
All right, let's jump in.
Let's talk about the movie.
Should we dive in?
Let's dive in.
So this
Lovecraft
week-
style.
We watched The Dunwitch Horror from 1970, directed by Daniel Haller, written by Curtis Hanson, Henry Rosenbaum, and Ronald Silkowski. It was based on a story by H.P. Lovecraft. I want to include that. They didn't include that on the IMDb, which kind of bugs me.
Strange. They're like, no, this was a completely original story. We don't know who H.P. Lovecraft is.
Which like things like Reanimator, I'd be like, okay, it's fine, you didn't talk about that. But with this one, they took a lot from it, so they can't.
Just whole cloth.
I mean, it
took
did
the dang
say it
thing.
in the credits for the movie. It's just not on the IMDb.
Yeah.
So let's talk about these people. So Daniel Haller, who directed it, he also directed Die Monster Die, which is one I want to watch. It's not bad enough for the podcast, but that's the one I was telling you about. It's based on
It's got Boris Karloff in it, right?
Yeah, it's based off Color Out of Space.
True.
And it has Boris Karloff.
It's Boris Karloff. What else do you need to hear? It's got the original Frankenstein.
I kind of
in
felt
it.
like I would have more to say, but I don't really have more to say about
It's
that.
a movie. It's based on Lovecraft. Frankenstein is here. What else do you need?
Yeah. Let's see what else he's done. Not really a whole lot. Oh, he
Nothing
directed
recognizable?
the TV show of a couple episodes of Charlie's Angels.
Charlie's Angels. There's that.
Pretty cool.
A
pretty
lot
fun.
of stuff. Like nothing incredibly noteworthy, but like a lot of things.
He also
that's
did
something.
Devil's Angels, which was another short story that was published around the same time.
Man
as
just
Lovecraft.
loves angels and devils, huh? He had Charlie's Angels, Devil's Angels.
That's two
Deviled
angels.
eggs.
Devil's Devil.
Angel.
Oh, he
food
does
cake.
really like devils because remember he kind of put devils into this movie.
Yes.
but it didn't need
There's
to be.
some Christian beliefs in this Lovecraft movie,
Which is
you hate-
not great because Lovecraft was a big atheist. And
Yeah,
he was
exactly.
very, very big about that.
Don't you hate when you dig into, you take a big scoop of your Lovecraft and there's a little bit of Christianity in there?
I hate it when I'm gnawing on a nice Cthulhu tentacle and all of a sudden Jesus pops up.
There's a Jesus,
Jesus.
in here.
Who got Jesus in my tentacle?
Who got this crucifix up in here? Who put this crucifix in my tentacle, huh?
Picking crucifixes out of my teeth. That was a stupid bit.
No, you use
But I
the
got
crucifix to get things out of your teeth.
No. You
There's-
got
it's a
little-
toothpick.
No, you got little mini crucifix splinters. Every time a crucifix splinters, a little crucifix is made.
Oh, God.
This is dark. I'm
This
going to
is
get struck down.
dark.
I'm going to get struck down.
Derek, look out.
So-
There's lightning coming your way. You're going to get struck.
Oh, come off. Did it work?
He's back. He read from the Necronomicon. He's all better.
Nice. Sweet. Do you think Science Jim's ever going to come back to life?
No, I don't think
Kind
so.
of worried about him.
I think if he does, he'll never be the same. Something different will happen with him.
So the writers, Curtis Hanson was one of the writers. He just hasn't done much notable.
It's just he wrote it, and that's all we
Henry
need to know
Rosenbaum
about
also
him.
worked on it. He also hasn't done too much notable. And I mean, keep in mind, anytime I go over these people, it's notable to me.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. I was thinking about that too. Actually, I'm looking at this list, and it's like, well, I don't know any of these movies.
they're very underknown. And then finally, Ronald Silkowski. He has pretty much only done the Dunwich Horror.
Yeah,
so.
that's his big one here that he is responsible for. So thank you for giving us the Dunwich Horror.
The Dunwich Horror 1970 actually did win an award, though.
We should mention, because we've
okay.
said this word a lot now. I've been told by the internet that is apparently the Dunwich Horror. It is it is
right.
from the UK. It is the silent W sound, but everyone in this movie gives it the W naming convention. So we'll call it the Dunwich. We'll just say right now we are aware that it should be Dunwich. So
Well, you're aware.
I'm aware.
I'm still going to call it Dunwich.
Yeah,
because
Dunwich. I'm going to
that's
call
how
it Dunwich
I was
too.
born.
That's how I was born and raised.
I came into this world out of a Lovecraft tomb.
My mommy
and I
went
knew
to
I
me the
was called
Dunwich
Dunwich.
Horror every night, and she said, "Don't you worry, that
Oh,
W
Lord.
is very important."
Can you imagine getting read the Dunwich Horror to you every night?
Imagine that kind of what that would bring into the world. This child that is brought up with nothing but eldritch stories for bedtime.
That would be incredible.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a child and read them nothing but the Necronomicon every night. Like, Daddy, please don't read me more from the Necronomicon. It's like, shh, it's bedtime. It's time for your Necronomicon. We must study the good book.
Okay, Daddy, are you ready? I'm ready. As the hills draw nearer, one heeds their wooded sides. Okay, that was It must be allowed that these blasphemies of an internal train of demons were mutters of too common knowledge. So, One thing.
I can see the infinite void.
Oh my God. Nice.
That's parenting 101 from your good horror boys here.
So, that was actually straight from the Dunwitch Horror, by the way. The thing about it is, like, you can make anything scary by just like how you read it, right?
Anything can be spooky.
I think it's worth mentioning our good friend Tynan over at the Poe Show.
Yeah.
He's doing that right now, right? He's reading Lovecraftian stories, but with like cool
Lovecraftian Poe stories,
yeah,
you know.
But both. This is very fun.
Well, both, yeah. Like, you can take anything and make it scary. Like, I would not on a boat. I will not. Would not.
Oh, Lord.
With a goat. I can't read. It's so far away from me. I will not eat them in the rain. I will not eat them on a train. Not in the dark. Not in a tree.
Oh, Lord.
Not in a car. You let me be. I do not like them in a box. I do not like them with a fox. I will not eat them in a house. I do not like them with a mouse. I do not like them here or there. I do not like them anywhere.
Pretty good. Okay.
So that's an excerpt from Green Eggs and Ham, and it's spooky if you read it right.
Les, I got one for you too. Ready?
Yeah, go.
Last Christmas I gave you my heart.
God damn
But the
it.
very next day you gave it away. This year, to save me from tears, I'll give it to someone special. Once bitten and twice shy, I keep my distance, but you still catch my eye. Tell me, baby, do you recognize me? Well, it's been a year. It doesn't surprise me.
You can take anything, guys, okay? It works. It doesn't matter what it is.
That was fun.
You can make it spooky.
That was fun. I liked that bit. We'll call that segment the making random things scary
Now,
segment.
can you do the opposite? Can you
Yes.
take a passage from the Dunwich Horror
Oh my God, yeah,
and
let's
make
do
it
it.
like happy-go-lucky, fancy fun times?
Okay, ready?
Yeah, go.
Hold on, I gotta find one that's funny.
I'm sure there's something in there that's
I
good.
mean, I just gotta scroll a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Just
The
pick a
wind
little something.
givers, and their voices, and the earth mutters, and their consciousness, they bound the forest and crushed the city. Yet may not forest or city behold the hand that smites Cadath, and
I
its
feel
waste
like-
cold to
I
them.
feel like I'm watching a play.
And what man note? It's like a really bad community theater
Yeah,
Shakespearean
yeah.
production, like where they
That's
don't
the
don't
vibe.
follow the cadence properly,
No,
and they're
no,
just
no,
like
no.
reading. Ocean holds stones whereon their seal is engraven. This is my favorite part, though. But who hath seen the deep frozen city or the sealed tower, long garland with the seaweed and barnacles? Great Cthulhu is their cousin, yet he can spy them only dimly. Wah!
Wow.
That felt so stupid and
Oh,
Shakespearean,
man.
and
Yeah,
I
a little
loved
bit.
it.
It's great.
I loved
We
it.
love it.
Okay, I'm gonna stop yelling about how much I love that. Rotten
well,
Tomatoes
calm down.
has this movie as a 29, and the audience has this movie at a 29%.
They're the same. It happened again. I didn't think it would. It doesn't
didn't think
happen
it would
that
happen.
often, but these guys are on the same page as each
And
other.
Letterboxd has it at a 2.9, which is also 29.
If you look at it that way, just take that little period out of there. Boop,
And
that's
IMDb
29.
has it at a 5.4, which if you take 2.9 and add 2.5 to it, you got 5.4.
Sure. That's math. I believe you.
So I couldn't find too much about the budget for this film, but I did find how much it was gross, and I did convert all of this to today's numbers instead of just dealing with old-timey numbers.
Old-timey. We've converted it. We've got the real numbers. We have the technology.
So it premiered in Chicago on January 14th, 1970. During its first week, it grossed $250,000 today, which was $30,000 then. The following, which is a lot of money, actually, like, to put in comparison, like, this, I don't know. It just made a lot of money for
That's
this movie.
kind of a lot of money.
It opened in Los Angeles, premiered in New York City on July 8th of that year. And then it ended up grossing about $500,000 in that year. So it total from Canada and US, it grossed over $1 million.
Do you think the Canadians use the dice method of currency?
Imagine having to pay $1 million in dice. Do you just have like what 10,000
You would have to have like double the amount of dice. Just
oh my
to
god!
make sure.
Imagine a D100 and you walk up and you're trying to buy like a new game or something and you roll a D1.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that means like counterfeit dollars would just be like weighted dice?
Oh my god, you're so right. They have a test for it. They put it on a little scale.
Yeah,
Every time you take a
exactly.
D100, they put it on a scale. Oh, So your dice weighs 0.5 grams more than it should.
No, I swear it was given to me that way. I got that one from the bank. I'll call them right now. I'll tell them.
No, it shows on the barcode on the side of your dice money.
I hadn't thought about the barcode on my dice money. I'm such a dunny.
Would it be
Dice
called
dummy.
Dunny? Or would it be called
Dice
mice?
money? Mice.
In the future, we only spend mice.
Dice-kney.
Imagine like you're reading a book, right? And the author calls all of the money mice, but he's meaning dice money.
But he doesn't describe that.
But then they make a movie adaptation later on in the future where people are walking around with satchels of mice, and they just pull out a handful of mice.
And he goes to see the movie. He's like, that's not quite.
That's not really what I meant.
Not really what I had in mind.
Clever. I like that they were rolling the mice on the table.
That's fun. Yeah, I don't know why you decided to roll mice. That doesn't make sense.
Kind of cool that their tails were kind of turning into a number to symbolize the number, but I was kind of meaning dice, man.
And the practical effects were nuts in that. I can't believe you guys really trained 8,000 mice to form numbers with their tails. It's incredible.
And that scene at the stock market where everybody was throwing mice in the air, it was incredible.
I like to imagine going into a building in Wall Street and everyone just throwing mice to each other.
Here, take my mice! Take my mice! Shut up and take my mice!
Shut up and take my mice.
I think that's the name of the episode.
Shut up and take my mice.
That's really good. I'm gonna write that down.
It's like, here, I got a house mouse. No, I got a Pechionorus dupricey.
Oh, don't forget about the African pygmy.
I got an African pygmy. Who's got a wood mouse?
But wait, they have exchange rates. So like one African pygmy is worth like 20 house mouse.
Yeah, which is worth like 5 striped field mice. We totally know all these mice names. We didn't just look up types of mice.
Shut up and take my mice.
Shut up and take my mice.
All right. This is genuinely one of the greatest bits we've ever made.
Oh my God.
I'm so happy about this bit.
I can't get over the visuals. Like there's that movie, The Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
I'm imagining that, but they're all just like throwing mice to each other.
And then like you have those scenes where like there's like a sexy woman in like a bikini getting money thrown on her, but they're just throwing mice.
Imagine in this world you go to the
strip club.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't have enough mice for today.
You have to carry a satchel of mice around.
In the back of your car, you open up, there's a little gate, like a little cage.
You know, like you walk up at the strip club, the dancer, the performer would have to walk up to the man who's got the biggest satchel on his side. This man's a big spender, I can tell.
Where do you keep all your mice, baby? Oh, I have a little nest in my hair.
Oh my God.
She unfolds her hair. There's just a bunch of mice living there. Okay,
something else. I can't imagine under the bands of her clothing are just a bunch of mice chilling there.
I gotta comment though. So like, what do you have to feed your money?
That's true. Yeah.
Do you have to like?
I've never thought about the concept of feeding money. That's like a second form of currency, right?
Yeah. Because like I've got a couple African pygmies right here, and these babies are rare. I think they're worth like 800 mice.
You could be a millionaire in a week, and then the next week it's like, hey man, can you spot me a $5?
You open your bag. I forgot to feed him.
Can you spot me a field mouse? Like, what happened, man? You had so many rats the other day. It's like, yeah, but I forgot to feed him, so I'm broke again.
Rats are like the dollar bills, and mice are like the coins.
The coins. The bigger they get. So like when you go to New York City,
oh my
those
God.
New York rats, New York rats, the Chicago rats, that's the big, that's top
hey, we
dollar.
got the big money.
$100 bill.
And Master Splinter, he is actually like wearing a gold-plated
He is wanted in every state in the country.
So he is hunted down.
He is worth all the money.
Don't even get me started on Rizzo the rat, dude.
Don't even. All the rats went into hiding. Stuart Little, he's hiding now.
Yeah, he's hiding. He's not worth very much, though. He's just a little baby boy.
No, but he's famous, so he's got a bit of a price point on him for that reason. Should we talk about Eldritch Horror again?
This is pretty horrific, though.
We got pretty far with this, yeah.
I mean, we went from rolling dice to have price to have mice to like...
to Wall Street currency mice throwing.
Incredible. I still can't get over throwing mice at people who are dancing.
Shut up and take my mice. That's incredible.
Let us know if you want mice as a form of currency. We are petitioning it to the local government.
Yeah, exactly. We've got our meeting next week with the local government here. We're really hoping to have a good argument, to make a good, strong argument for mice as currency this time.
We have a 5 cage plan, and
Do you just go into like a recession every year when like it's winter and all the mice are dying or hibernating?
Yeah, you have to save up for the winter really, really well. Everyone's got these huge grain silos. And instead of like laying in bed and you hear the mice like gnawing at your wall or something, if you have a mouse in your house, like instead of that, you're like, oh, there's a mouse in these walls. All the creatures are stirring.
You walk into someone's house and there's holes all throughout the walls because they're trying to get the mouse to keep as the money.
Where do you keep your money? I keep it in the walls.
It's like, oh, it's a good blessing. I pray many mice for your walls.
Thank you. This is incredible.
There's no longer exterminators. They're like people who drill holes into the walls to get the mice out. It's a very humane thing to be doing.
Very
now.
lucrative, actually.
Yeah. What did they do with the mice though? Like when you like, I guess it's just like
you kiss them.
You kiss them. You love them.
Yum yum yum.
Oh man, this is dark.
This is messed
There
up.
are dark implications to mice money.
We don't need to think about the dark implications of mice money, but I'm going to be pitching a movie to Blumhouse next year called Mice Money.
I like. Are you aware of the dark implications of mice money? Just that sentence is so.
Everybody knows the dark implications of mice money, right?
We're all aware of the dark implications.
Everybody's here.
All here, we're all on the same page.
Everybody's good.
All right, let's talk about the Dunwitch Horror. Should we talk about our expectations?
Yeah, let's do it.
My general expectation just says, let's go. I was excited for
Me
this
too.
one.
I was really hyped.
Yeah.
Mine is I'm ready for my Lovecraftian vacation.
There we go. That's it. My first formal expectation here just says very giallo 70s vibes. I don't actually know if that's how you pronounce it, but it's like an
Giallo?
Italian genre of film that is known for like it's very fun and inventive camera work and very, very catchy, like upbeat music. Like it's very fun, very cool themes. Usually like mystery, murder, solving crime kind of stuff like that. A lot of horror movies in that vibe, in that vein there. I watched a really fun one last year called something that I can't remember. But anyway, I was introduced to the genre just last year. And so I was expecting that kind of vibe from this. Very fun. What are you looking at? Giallo. Giallo.
Oh, yeah, with a DJ.
Yeah.
Giallo.
Giallo, yeah, exactly.
Giallo.
So Giallo films. An Italian thing, but I was getting many of those vibes. Those films were like, the peak of those was definitely in the 70s, and I was definitely getting this vibe with like the fun, like jazzy upbeat, like funk sounds from the soundtrack that we were getting just through the trailer, right?
Isn't that one with the dancers?
That one with the dancers? You mean Suspiria?
Yeah, isn't that
I think
Giallo?
that is
the original
Giallo.
one, not the remake.
Yes. What's your expectation?
Nothing like the book, but honestly, whenever it has it been. So I will spoil something from the book here. In the book, the main character Wilbur actually dies about 6 out of 11 chapters in.
What?
So like he's gone, and then the rest of the story is like 2 other people dealing with what's going on. And my first expectation is that won't happen. Isaac's pretending to read from the Necronomicon.
Well, I'm just trying to find where this happens because I couldn't be, but I can't read this. I'm not Science Jim, and it'll probably kill me if I try.
Also, the Necronomicon is beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful book. I was actually gifted a wonderful Necronomicon for Christmas from my good friend Seth. It's wonderful. It looks just like the one from The Evil Dead, the first one, the OG movie.
And it's even got pages that are all gross on the inside.
It's got pages that are all like
flesh. It's pretty dope.
Torn up and nasty and gross, and I love them. It's got a face on the front. It's got an ear on the back. What's not to love about that?
What's not to love about that? All right, your next expectation?
What's not to lovecraft about that?
Nice.
My second expectation just says incredible visuals and these popping colors, because that's what I was getting from the movie. Is like, regardless of how this movie is based on the writing and the acting, I think it'll be very fun to look at because the visuals look like a lot of fun and just like very vibrant, bright colors. I was really here for that kind of stuff.
And my next expectation is actually basically the same thing. I just said super fun vibe. Like it's going to be a really good vibe.
It's
like
a
the
vibe.
sound, the colors. It's going to be a fun time.
Absolutely. I
Vibing.
said music that is so good it will distract from the movie, because that was one thing from the Giallo movie I watched last year. Is like I'm trying to focus on this movie, and it was a great movie. I gotta remember what I watched, but it was like the music is such a bop. It hits so hard. It's like I can't even focus on the movie. It's like you ever open up Mario Kart 8 and you get on that opening screen. It's like it's like crazy fun music. That kind of vibe. It goes
good.
so unnecessarily hard that it distracts from the main focus. Right?
It goes so hard. You
so
gotta
hard.
appreciate it. My next one is overly sexy for no reason. So one thing, the book did not have any horniness at all.
Not
there was
horny.
There's
Not a very horny book.
Nothing about sex really. There's nothing like horny about it all. The trailer for this movie had more sex than the entire book had.
Wow, so very horny just in the trailer.
From what I understand and from what I've read, Lovecraft didn't really do a lot of horny stuff. So
Nah, probably celibate the man was.
well, I think he was married. So we could just
right. You can be celibate in marriage. Come on.
okay, that's true.
My next one just says probably strays very far from the story, like you had mentioned, because I was curious because you said you read it, right? So I was like, okay, let's see where this one falls through, because just based on the trailer, Derek was like, oh, it's this guy. Oh, wait, where's this man? Oh no, that's not very. Oh, okay, curious. So like, it didn't seem like it was going to be incredibly close.
Yeah.
But tune in to find out if that ends up being true.
So I'm gonna go kind of into the book a little bit more here.
Yeah.
I would like to say that that's a spoiler for the rest of the episode, but it's not. So I was hoping for a middle story. So during this book, what is going on basically is there's a house that's possessed with some sort of demon, and there's a person in that house whose name is Wilbur who's like feeding the demon and making it grow. That's basically all you need to understand.
That's all.
I was hoping for a middle story, a story about what they did to feed my Yagi-Sagi senpai.
Miyagi-Sagi senpai.
Is
Miyagi-Sagi, Miyagi-Sagi.
My senpai.
You're a demon in the upstairs room. Miyagi-Sagi,
My Little
Miyagi-Sagi.
Pony.
You make me feel a sense of doom. Bum, bum.
Incredible.
So is it my turn? My
Yes, yours.
my last expectation for this one is similar to what you already said. Just super wicked horny. Just like very, very horned up. I mean, it's a horror movie from the 70s. Give me a horror movie from the 70s that is not incredibly sexed up horniness. You can't. It doesn't happen. It is just the way it is.
Doesn't happen. It does not happen. It doesn't matter. My last one is fun but not great practical effects. I was hoping for some cool creature that was like not well designed,
Yes.
but like also kind of cool.
There is something incredibly charming about like the practical effects from movies from the 70s because they get so weird with it and they're really like, ambitious with what they design, and it doesn't always work out very well,
No.
but it's like in this day and age very fun to look back at and like look at how much fun we were having creating crazy monsters with what we had in the 70s. I think it's super, super fun.
All right, let's read some Rotten Tomatoes reviews.
Rotten Tomatoes. Some people got some things to say. So typically we kind of pass it off. I have one, Derek has one, I have one, another one. That's 4 total, right? Good news. There are only 4 Rotten Tomatoes reviews that have words to them that we can read.
So go read them yourself. We're not going to read them.
There are 3 in here. No, I want to read
I'm just kidding. It's a joke.
There are 3 in here that just give a fresh or rotten review. They don't actually have any like actual words to them.
Yep.
Do you want to start us out? Or you want me to start us out?
I don't care.
Go. It's time. It's your time.
Ken Hanky Panky from Mountain Express.
Ken who? His name is just Ken Hank with an E at the end. Ken Hanky.
Ken Hanky Panky.
Ken Hanky
from Mountain
Panky.
Express with a full review of 2.5.
Mhm.
What?
2 out of 5.
Did I get summoned?
Something's happening to us.
Ooh, that was a
We're
terrible
being
sound.
driven to madness by this movie.
The review with a rotten review says pretty much botched Lovecraft adaptation.
Brr. Short and sweet. Same deal here. Bud Wilkins from Slant magazine says groovy and grotesque in equal measures. No 2 out of 5 or nothing. Just groovy and grotesque with a fresh review. It's the only one we will read.
Dennis Schwartzykun says,
God, just read their names. Dennis Schwartz.
from Movie Reviews, very simple, with a score of C, says this film should be more interesting for Lovecraft fans than the general audience.
Mm-hmm.
Emphasis on should.
Should. He meant he's very, very, it's crucial that he mentions this here. And then finally, we have Matt Brunson from Film Frenzy, who says, a leadenly paced picture that grows less gripping as it moseys along.
Brutal. All right. So, Dunwitch Horror.
Are we getting into this? Is it time?
Yeah.
Let's get into this. It's time to read from the good book and tell you about the Dunwitch Horror from 1970.
Written in 1929.
The music is what I'm here for. Right
Dude,
out the
same.
gate. Loving
Yeah.
the music. But then we meet a woman moaning sexually, but
Oh
I
my
think she's
God.
giving birth. She's got this weird symbol on her forehead in like this like circle shape, and there are people there watching her, and it's just like it's a lot. She's moaning way too sexually for if she's giving birth or not. Like I don't think they told her exactly what to do in the scene.
No, and something we'll find later on when this woman is moaning again.
Really all throughout.
This all she knows.
Yeah.
Or they just play the same clip of her just moaning sexually the whole time.
I would buy it. I would believe it.
I mean, right out of the gate, I'm like, okay, well, my horny expectation is absolutely true.
Absolutely 100% true. But then, yeah, we transition into this intense music of the opening credit scene, which is now animated. It looks like Jesus walking through the desert.
It did. So
it is giving very like Christian religion vibes from this opening title sequence.
If you had ever seen any of the original Pink Panther movies, I love those movies. Not the new one with what's his face,
Steve Martin.
I love Steve Martin. I didn't care for him.
Not
in
gonna
those
lie,
movies.
no, those are like my guilty pleasure movies. I
Really?
love those movies.
See, I was grown up with the song with
Grown
the
up.
who's,
You're groomed up.
what's the guy's name that was in the original Pink Panther?
He's the Pink Panther. I don't know what you're talking about.
Peter Sellers,
the man from
right?
the Naked Gun. That guy.
Wait.
Oh no, you're talking about a very
Yeah.
different man.
Peter Sellers. This guy.
Sellers.
Yeah, he was the original Pink Panther. I grew up
Oh,
with
we're
this
going
one.
OG.
Yeah, the original Pink Panther. They had this style of animation to all of their like the opening credit sequences
Very
to the Pink
iconic.
Panther. Like it's very fun. It's like all shadows. It's all walking,
And it's just like a Pink Panther walking through, causing some mischief. It's
yeah,
very fun.
Yeah, it's super fun.
And this
I gotta
detective
go watch
guy
this
like
movie.
chasing him throughout. Very fun.
I think I had my sexual awakening during those movies.
What? To
That's
a
fine.
Pink Panther?
No. Anyway, but so imagine like Mary and Joseph walking to Bethlehem with Jesus
That's
in her
the
belly.
vibe we get.
That's the vibe we get, except in Pink Panther style.
Yeah, so there's like blue background. The characters are just in black, and they're like walking up to a mountain, which kind of looks like the mouth of a person. Then guess what? It is the mouth of a person. It's like
What?
the devil.
No, it
who's
looked like
lounging
Quagmire
on his
from
side. It's got
Family
some
Guy.
horns on his head. Yeah, it's got a big chin like Quagmire.
Giggity.
But then it picks up one of the people and like eats them. Then we find like a lady who's about to give birth. Then she gives the birth, and she's just holding the baby by the leg above herself.
It was weird.
Kind of hard to describe.
It was.
But hello, Mr. Mustache.
It looked so bad. I don't know why you're excited about it.
I.e. Wilbur Whateley is the name of this character, the main guy in this movie. He has a mustache that looks fake, and I never really got any confirmation on whether or not it was fake.
It was definitely fake. There's no
looks-
way someone would grow
It's just
that on
like
purpose.
weirdly cut around his lips to frame them. It looks very, very strange. And people in 70s movies talked funny, don't you think? Like
Yes.
they talked kind of weird.
Wow, I don't know, Mary.
It's very robotic.
I don't know.
exactly how
I'm
to
going to
replicate
talk
it
like
here.
this in the movies.
Yeah. It's
Wow.
a very-
Give this man 7 mice. He's done a great job.
A job well done, son. Hold on. Imagine tipping somebody. You give him like a baby mouse.
Wait, and then like I actually did this when I was in Mexico, where you like
Gave
kinda-
someone a little baby mouse.
no, no, and you slip someone money, even though you're not technically not supposed to, but they like did a good job. Like there's this waiter I really liked. So I
I
handed
mean,
him
listen,
some
I often do that. They're like, no, they didn't let us take tips. I'm like, oh, that's nice. Whoops, here's money. Bye.
Well, anyway, so he was like, imagine if I had to do it with mice, though. I'm like, here, come over here. Like,
And you're like, stopping the mouse, like, squeak, 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 squeak. Like, shh, I'm trying to be subtle about this.
It's secret.
And then the big old boss walks up, like, hey, somebody got
Yeah,
mice
yeah,
over
yeah,
here. It's
yeah.
like, no, I don't. And they're
He's
squeaking in your
he's holding a
pocket.
big cat, and the cat is a mice detector, and he just like has to like
That's evil.
He has to like point it around, and if the cat goes crazy,
Man, we haven't even discussed the side of like what that would do for cats, because if cats are killing the literal money of the world, cats
my
are
God.
under lock. There's a whole underground society of cats, probably
There
led
are.
by Garfield, obviously.
yeah, the money consumers. This is a whole deep.
We could have a whole episode about mice's money.
But Big Cat is actually over it all. So like up at the top of the corporation, up
Is
at the top of the
Garfield?
Rockefeller building. Well, it could be Garfield. I was thinking it was Nermal.
Why do you keep saying Numal?
I don't know. I think it's because that one bit we did about Newman from Seinfeld. It really stuck with me.
See, up there are like the big names in cats, right? There's Garfield. There's
Clifford the big red cat.
There's
There's Brian the
Hold on,
cat
there's another
from
one.
Family Guy.
Heathcliff is another cat. There's what are other cats?
I think that's
I don't
it.
know any other cats.
There's
oh no.
all of the Aristocats.
All of the entire and all of the cats from the musical. They're up in there too. Mr.
Jellicles.
Mistopheles, the Jellicles are all up in there.
Yeah, he's there.
This is terrible. We
This
can't
is-
get into cats territory with this episode.
I think I'm done.
Yeah. So
Have a nice day.
have a nice day.
Imagine a version of the Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
But he's just.
I'd
"It's
rather be a
Christmas.
mouse."
I'd rather be a mouse. What do you want, my mice? And he's walking through the streets,
He's
just
throwing
hucking
mice all over
at
the
people's
streets.
faces.
I can't even imagine all of the scenes where people just throw money and it's just mice instead. Let it rain, mice. incredible.
It's not raining cats and dogs anymore, people. It's raining mice.
It's raining mice. And if it's raining cats and dogs, that's concerning.
It's
Your
a
money is at
problem.
risk.
We need to hide your mice. They go over the radio. This is a public service announcement. Everyone must hide their mice.
Lock
It is
up your
raining
mice.
cats and dogs out there. Oh no! Oh my god!
Oh my God, it's raining cats and dogs.
Did you bring the mice in? We got 10 grand in mice out there.
Well, we really got like 3 grand in mice because the cats got to most of them. Actually, I'm sorry. I tried to stop the cats and I couldn't. They were so cute. They pulled up their little tummies.
Wait. That's how taxes work. It's caxes. So the
Cats is the government just releases a bunch of cats into the
government
wild.
is cats. The world is run by cats.
And they just come and take money and you get what you get.
Oh, sir, I'm sorry, I don't have no meow meow.
No, I'm sorry. Please don't take my mice. I work so hard for them.
Meow meow meow.
So we're at like a university in Arkham, which is a city, a town that they use a lot in Lovecraft stories. Is that right? Yeah. And so we're at this Arkham University.
The Miskatonic. It doesn't actually say
They
it.
don't name drop Miskatonic University, but we're to assume that's what
That
it
is. I mean, that's what it is in the book. It's a place in Massachusetts.
So there's a display case for the Necronomicon. There's quotes around it. There's a placard on the front of it that says the quotes Necronomicon. It's just on display in this library. Like, what the hell are they thinking? Just the literal evil book just chilling out there in a case that is not locked. Anybody can grab it.
So the original Necronomicon was not in English. It was in Spanish.
Is that right?
I can't remember. Yeah, but the one that Henry Armitage has here, and I mean, I'm going off of
And he's
both,
the man who is in charge of the Necronomicon here at this college, Dr. Henry Armitage.
and I'm going off of both the book and the movie, right?
Yeah.
The movie didn't really explain it too much, but he actually has a translated copy of the Necronomicon.
Yes.
So-
which is very good if you don't speak, eldritch horror.
Yeah.
So yeah, they just have it on display here. So Mr. Mustache here convinces these 2 ladies who just put it in there. Their names are Nancy and Elizabeth. They just put it back in this case. He there are close-ups on his eyes that make you assume he has some kind of like mind control powers going on, because he just stares down Nancy with his big old eyes and he convinces her to let him take the book to read it. It's very weird. They have a Yog Sothoth name drop. Derek's giving me these big old eyes that I really, really dislike. So Mr. Mustache starts reading from the Necronomicon. He starts seeing weird visions. He talks so monotone. He talks very,
awful.
very monotone. But Dr. Henry Armitage comes here and they have an awkward conversation about the Necronomicon and their similar interests that then leads to a dinner that they're both having. So it's Wilbur, Armitage, and then these 2 girls, Nancy and Elizabeth, all having a dinner together, discussing whether or not basically to let him borrow the Necronomicon from him.
Yeah, so Wilbur wants to borrow the Necronomicon from him because it's in English and he can read it.
Yes.
They didn't really talk about that in the movie, but that is the reason he wants it.
Exactly, yeah. And like they discuss, oh yeah, no, there used to be another version, blot here, blah blah blah. And he's like proves himself capable of the knowledge of Necronomicon and stuff. So like they talk about it for a little bit. So yeah, Wilbur's an odd character. Over dinner, he starts discussing like the frailty of man and their fears. He's a student of the occult. He wants to study the Necronomicon. He's like, it's a Bible. It's like a Bible to me, is what he says.
Yeah. And the reason that he's even having this conversation with Wilbur is we find out that Wilbur is a descendant of the Whately family.
Yes.
And he wrote a book about old man Wilbur.
Yeah, Dr. Armitage wrote a book about this family, that character, right?
Yeah.
His great-great-grandfather.
Yes.
And so Armitage, unfortunately, will not lend him the book. He's like, no, I really need this for my own personal studies. You seem like a weird dude to begin with, so no.
I feel like Armitage knew what the power of the book was, too.
Are you aware of the power of the Necronomicon?
Are you aware of the power of the darkness? What did we say?
I can't even remember.
That's fine.
The darknage of mice money, something like We've
darkness of
already
mice money?
forgotten. We said it like 10 minutes ago.
I don't know, but we should definitely do a supercut of Mice Money.
So then Armitage and that character Elizabeth, the main character, the main girl Nancy's friend, just leave together. They're like, oh yeah, my car's here, I'll drive you, blah blah blah. So then Nancy's here with Wilbur and she's definitely got the hots for this guy.
Oh yeah, that mustache is working.
Can't tell if she's actually just genuinely interested in him or it's just the fact that he has a mustache and these eyes that bear deep into her soul.
I don't know. I mean, she did say there was something about his eyes, but I don't know if there's anything good about
Who knows? Is there anything in the book that describes that he's got these mind control powers or anything?
No.
No, I didn't think so.
I mean, in the book, he's also a goat man who's very stinky.
They at least have goatish features. But yes, he smells, and that's never brought up in this movie.
No, not at all.
He's not smelly at all. He's just got a mustache,
He
which
kind
is
of
the
is-
same as looking smelly.
He's kind of
sometimes.
is treated as like a Ted Bundy type, where he's creepy but charming.
He's got
right?
this
I
weird
really
charm that
hated it.
tends to
I
work.
really hated
Yeah.
him.
But anyway, so Nancy offers to drive him back to Dunwich because he missed his bus, right? She's like, oh, are you not staying for the night? He's like, no, I got to get back. I got my train at this time. And she's like, oh, no, the bus. He's like, sorry, you just missed it. He's like, oh, that's unfortunate. She's like, well, I can give you a ride. So they head out. They're on their way to Dunwich. They stop at a gas station. And the attendant, as he's serving them, stops doing the service once he sees Wilbur in the car.
Yeah.
He literally is halfway through filling the gas, halfway through cleaning the window, the windshield on the car. And she's all like, aren't you going to finish cleaning the windshield? He's like, no, that'll be $1. She's like, $1? I asked you to fill it up. He's like, $1.
I only have 5 mice.
We have 5 mice. I don't have dollars. Nobody uses dollars anymore, you idiot. But yeah, so then as they're driving away, Wilbur starts to mention about how the surrounding townsfolk are kind of afraid of Dunwich and they're against his family, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. The Whately name carries some weight to it, right?
It does.
The manor in which he lives looks wild, and there's some whack music that accompanies it too. Again, this music kind of kicks ass the entire time. I'm into it. He invites Nancy inside, and the set is a lot of fun. I really like the way the interior sets of the house looked. They're very, I don't even know how to describe them, very, very bold, lots of weird set pieces, lots of colors. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was good.
He's got some strange crystals chilling in the main room, and I'm here for this music. It sounds like it's almost like from a video game. It is so weird and
it was wacky,
fun. I liked it a lot.
I liked it a lot too, but the way that they caused creepiness throughout some of the music, it sounded like someone was just leaning on a keyboard.
Oh yeah,
and then they were playing music over the top of it.
Someone's playing music, then someone just goes and leans on top of it. So Wilbur, as he's preparing tea for Nancy, he's like, "Oh, make yourself comfortable." He sneaks away outside and unplugs something in the engine of her car.
Yeah, no, he's icky, man.
I don't know why I thought we could trust the man, but no, he's definitely trustworthy.
There's nothing
from the
trustworthy
beginning.
about him.
Then he comes inside and he's preparing some tea and definitely drugs it with something.
Oh yeah,
who knows what it is? Then his grandfather makes an appearance, startling Nancy, and he says to Wilbur, "I'll be waiting for you." He's a strange character, this grandfather is. And we saw him in the opening sequence of the movie when that mother was moaning while giving birth to.
Yeah.
So I recognize him from that. So then Nancy starts talking about how she saw strange visions after touching one of those weird crystal things that we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And then she goes to leave because she's like, "Oh, I really should get back to town." But of course, her car's not going to start because Wilbur, he fucked with it. And then Wilbur goes, "Well, I don't have a telephone. You wouldn't believe it." Oh, such a
darn.
silly old me not having a telephone. Wah, wah, I'm Wilbur.
Yeah, he's just creepy. I mean, if this happened today, this girl wouldn't have even gone in the house.
No.
Right? It's so awful that this happened.
So then Wilbur puts her up in a room, and then he grabs her a completely see-through nightgown. What a gentleman. He puts her up in this room and then goes to the closet. She's like, "Oh, yes, this will do." It's a completely sheer see-through black thing. It's like, "Oh, cool. Thank you. Thank you for that."
Again, I want to mention, the book was not horny at all.
Didn't mention any of this, but it's the 70s. It's the 70s. So then Grandpa's worried about Nancy wandering upstairs and finding their secret, which for now, all we know about it is this eerie, shaky door that is something is trying to get out from the other side of it. So now we know there's some dark secret inside of the house. Nancy is having nightmares on her. She's having nightmares in her sleep, and she's on her bed in the middle of a field while some scary-looking, very colorfully dressed people dance around her and taunt her. It looks like she's on some kind of island, so I assume these are island cultists. I'm not really trying to. I can't really make heads or tails of this.
If you've ever seen the end scene from Monty Python's A Meaning of Life, it's
something like
so
that.
So that movie, I'll explain myself. That movie ends with a man who chooses to die by being chased down to death by a bunch of topless women. And he gets chased off a cliff edge.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what this scene reminded me of.
Yeah, it kind of feels like that, because then they start having an orgy, just this depraved orgy. They're kind of gross.
It was awful.
But yeah, then these
out of nowhere.
Really though, but then these island natives start to chase her, and then she runs into the shack, and then she runs into that. It leads her back into the real life in the house.
Yeah.
So she just opened a door and was somewhere in the house now.
This made no sense to me.
It was a very strange sequence.
Even throughout the rest of the movie, when everything is quote unquote explained.
Yes.
I don't feel like this was necessary at all.
No, yeah.
This did not need to happen.
I thought it was just
someone being horny.
I thought it was just some fever dream she was having because of the drugs that were in the tea that she was given.
Yeah.
But anyway, the next day, Nancy is sitting on the side of a hill with Wilbur, and she's recounting her nightmares. And he's playing therapist for her, but mostly just asking her feelings about sex.
That's the entire conversation.
Yeah.
It felt like that scene from Star Wars Episode 3 or 2 when Anakin and Padme are sitting in the field.
Yeah, the one where that meme comes from.
What does that mean?
It's like you're gonna do something, right? And then he doesn't answer. It's like you're gonna do something, right? Something along those lines.
It felt
Fill
like
in the
that,
blank.
except it was like, so how do you feel about sex? What? How do you feel about sex? She's like, it's great.
Oh, it's all right.
It's all right.
She's like, it's enjoyable.
That was like the whole conversation. It was gross.
Yeah.
It was uncomfortable, and it didn't make any sense.
It seemed like he had some motive for why he was asking her, but it was a very strange question to ask. But then Wilbur asks her to stay the weekend.
It's like that scene from The Room, actually. So, how's your sex life?
So how's your sex life? It's me, the weird guy from The Room.
I always forget you haven't seen The Room.
I don't
so
want
sad.
to. I'm okay not
so
seeing
good.
it. So then Dr. Henry Armitage shows up to the manor with the other girl, Elizabeth, and then Grandpa sees them and he tries to tell them, Nancy's not home. Get away. You need to leave this place, right? And then Nancy and Wilbur walk up like no problem. And then Nancy's like, I've decided to stay here with Wilbur. I'm going to stay the weekend. And he keeps giving her this like drug tea. Dare would be furious.
Dare would have a heyday.
DARE. You're all familiar with the Dare
Drugs
program?
are readily available. Is
available. Drugs are readily available.
That's why they shut down Dare, isn't it? Because it was like making kids do more drugs than if they didn't have Dare.
I don't think that's what Dare stood for at all.
No, it's not. But isn't that why it got shut down?
Is that true? Is that
I
real?
think so. Yeah, they stopped doing it because they found it wasn't helping, and it was even like putting the idea of drugs in people's heads.
I actually didn't know that at all.
Because they stopped doing it. I remember the Dare Bear though.
So she keeps drinking from this tea,
It was
and
a
it makes
tiger.
it so she like struggles to walk. Like she's getting in really bad shape because of whatever he's drugging this tea with. Then Grandpa and Wilbur start fighting about Nancy and like, you lied about why you want her here. And he's like, he's Grandpa's on to Wilbur's tricks, right?
Yeah, dude.
So then Henry Armitage is not convinced that nothing is going on here. So he goes to some printing press to find old articles about the Whateleys, right? He finds out what doctor delivered Wilbur. So he's like, I'm going to go find this doctor. So that's like their next lead. The printing press man tells them like to avoid the Whateleys. He's like, they're known in this town for being kind of weirdos. So like, don't bother them. So then Wilbur is walking through town with Nancy. He's talking about his great-great-grandpa who was hung in the town for his beliefs and like what he was talking about, the Necronomicon kind of bullshit, right?
Yeah.
And then Armitage goes to meet the doctor that he's looking for. He wants to ask about the Whateleys. Everyone in town is scared of them, right? This doctor is named Dr. Corey, who's a character throughout this now. He's definitely a young man that they just put in old man makeup.
It was very obvious.
It
He
was
like
bothering me.
It was. He kept yelling about it. He was like easily 41, 42.
Honestly.
But his makeup made him look like in his 60s or
Yeah,
70s.
exactly. Yeah, they dyed his hair so it would be white. They gave him like these wrinkles in his skin to make him look older, but like he was a youngish man, definitely not as old as they made him out to be, right? But he does tell him that he didn't deliver the baby. The grandfather did, actually. So then we get this like really cheesy transition where like it all blurs out, and then we come back to the back to clarity, and it's like a flashback of that day, but the past is in like sepia tones, which I thought was really, really corny. It
was rough.
It's cheesy, but it was like kind of fun, I guess. But then old Whately was like in town screaming to some locals about, the baby that was about to be born, his beliefs, and like something dangerous is coming. None of them really listened to him, but Dr. Corey did, so he went actually to see them. Wilbur's mother actually gave birth to twins.
Shock.
Yeah, the missing twin was supposedly stillborn, but that could be a lie. Dr. Corey is suspicious of that. He's like, I don't know.
I never saw the baby.
Never saw no baby. It could have been a lie. So yeah, Lavinia, who was Wilbur's mom, has been locked in a padded room for all these years, and she just screams craziness to herself all day. Like she's in bad shape. Meanwhile, Wilbur continues to take Nancy on hillside dates and drugs her teas, and it's making her oh so dizzy. And then he takes her up atop this hill to some sacrificial altar. It's a fun looking set. It's called the Devil's Hop Yard, is what he refers to it as. And Wilbur brought some weird package up here with him. He mentions her fertility rites were practiced up here. Finds out that she's a virgin. She's like, hey, remember the other day, meaning this morning, because that's when this happened, I told you my thoughts about sex. I was actually a liar. And he's like, I know.
Okay, I think now I want to go through where this is different from the book.
Yes,
is that
please,
cool?
please.
So in the book, the way the book is like structured is normally I wouldn't do this, but it's close enough to the book that I think it's worth mentioning. So the book is kind of structured in a way that's kind of telling the story about what's going on.
Yeah.
So a couple things that they have right is his name is Wilbur. He has a grandpa. He has a great grandpa who died, and he has a mom who gave birth. But she only gave birth to Wilbur. You just didn't know who her father was. You find out her father was Yog-Sothoth, this ancient god. You found that out by now. But what's happening in the book is essentially the grandpa and Wilbur, Old Man Whately is what they call him in the book, and then Wilbur are taking creatures or taking like sheep and stuff to the house, and they're just disappearing. The mom disappears, people from the town start disappearing, and they keep like repairing the house and making changes to the house, and no one knows why.
That's a really cool concept.
I love that
I like
concept.
that, and that was nowhere to be seen in this movie, which is kind of sad.
I was really, really, really hoping for that because I think it's really fun. You can tell something is going on in the house, and Lovecraft does a really good job in the story at like not telling you what's happening in the house, but you know what is happening in the house. He just talks about how like windows are getting boarded up, or they took out the landing and no one knows why.
Yeah,
like
just unexplained. Windows are boarded up. The house looks weird.
Yeah, but also when Wilbur is born, he's born goatish features and smells really, really bad, and no one knows
those are
why.
mentioned.
I wanted him to be a stinky, gross boy.
Unless
and
goats are known for having mustaches, it doesn't really track for this movie.
So anyway, that's about where we're at here. And but Armitage does exist. So far, the only characters that are followed from the book are Wilbur, Armitage, and the mom, and then also Old
Grandpa.
Man.
Yeah, exactly.
Grandpa.
Old. He's literally credited as just Old Whately. Is all
Old
he's
Man,
always
Old Man
referred to
Whately
as,
is what he is in the book.
So we're back up at the top of this hill, right? So he basically calls her out for being a virgin and. Like she's going to be used for a ceremony, right? Wilbur keeps talking about how beautiful her nakedness is, the virgin spirit within her.
He's so gross.
It's so gross. He starts to chant like Yog Sothoth, and then a bunch of black robed figures appear, and it's just. It's unclear whether or not this is a dream sequence or this actually happened because it seems kind of blurry around the edges.
I don't think he had any friends. So.
No, it seems like it might actually just be just a figment of someone's imagination, right? But they surround a nearly naked Nancy and approach her with this chalice, and it's just several shots of Nancy feeling herself and softly moaning.
But she's not like sexually feeling herself. She's just like rubbing her legs.
Yeah.
But also it zoomed in on like the side profile of her butt, just flexing
and unflexing over and over and over again. It was a long sequence.
Do you think in the like audition room they had her lay on a table and see if she could flex her butt?
I know for a fact she actually didn't want to do it, and they had a body double do it.
What?
That's why specifically in these scenes you cannot see her face. It's always the side shot of her body.
Honestly, though, I don't blame her.
Yeah,
it's incredibly uncomfortable. This whole scene was awkward as hell.
Even the body double never once in this movie gets like fully nude. It's always she's in like this top. It's like it's a dress that is a front piece and a back piece that is held in between them with like a chain, and that's basically all it is.
And it makes their chests look like Doritos.
Yeah, so you get a lot of like the side look. Yeah, there's this weird triangle cut on the top of it that does look like Doritos.
It looks like Doritos.
Doritos chip. But yeah, it's just several shots of her. Wilbur begins to undress himself in front of her, revealing his chest covered in tattoos of the occult symbols. His arms too, like dude's tatted up.
It looked like it gave me the energy of the guy who buys a tattoo gun in like high school.
Yes.
And just goes crazy with like Egyptian glyphs.
Yes, because he thinks they're cool.
Yeah.
And he'll probably regret them in the future. But then, yeah, the music intensified as Wilbur approaches her and starts to like grab her leg with his hand. It's really, really gross. But so then we cut back. Elizabeth, remember that one character, Nancy's friend, who we haven't mentioned in a while? Elizabeth goes back to the house because she's like suspicious about what's going on there. She wants to help her friend, right?
Yeah.
She goes to the house. Old Man Whately's there. Is like, no, leave. She's not here. She just like shoves him down. She pushes away this old man. And she gets inside. She goes deeper.
He's not easy. He's not hard to topple.
No. He's a weak, frail old man. She goes deeper into the house and starts to hear this like heartbeat within the walls. Meanwhile, Old Man Whately is still yelling at her to stop, but she's not going to listen.
No.
She makes her way to that ominous shaking door that we keep seeing right there, like dark secret that's upstairs. And when the door opens, we get this wild reveal of what
Wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man.
A little bit. It must be some eldritch beast that is just killing her. It's just a blur of like these tentacle appendages flapping at her, completely covered in this like intense colored filter. It's green and then it's red and then it's purple and it's yellow. It's all these different blurs of colors.
You know,
it kills her in a flash.
You know what it reminds? Oh, after taking her clothes off.
Oh yeah, she's naked too while it kills her. Suddenly,
so stupid.
She had all of her clothes on.
So anyway, you know what it reminds me of?
What does it remind you of?
You know the old Daleks from like old
Doctor Who?
Old Doctor Who.
Yeah.
You know those ones that like have the like tube arms?
Yes.
It kind of gave me the vibe of that. With,
it reminds
like 20 tube arms and a whole
it
bunch of
also reminds
streamers.
me of like in Monsters Inc. when there's like the monsters going in through their doors when they're like preparing. They're like, all right, here we go. There's that one who just has his tentacles flapping in front of him. He's like,
Yeah.
That's the vibe of this creature flapping.
Except worse.
But it's so quick and it moves so fast, like you really cannot make heads or tails of what it is that is killing her. But she's dead. She's done for.
This is one of the instances where the movie decided to do something interesting. Yes. I still don't know how I felt about it.
Yeah.
Where they changed. It's like they inverted the colors, but they do it to like red to green. Like they keep flashing between
it's like,
different
you know how
versions.
when people first got a phone and you thought it was fun to turn on like the negative filter?
Yeah.
It's like you take that, but it's all completely, it's either black or one solid color covering the whole thing. The contrast is super high. That's basically all it is. And we see that a lot coming up.
It's how Daniel Haller was like, this is how I'm going to make my movie scary.
Which I can appreciate in a sense because they did not give us like this definitive look at something that is literally unknowable, right?
Yeah,
Again,
exactly.
drives you to madness if you try to understand it. So like for that aspect of it, I can appreciate that they did not show us what the creature looked like very definitively. So like you props for that, good on you about that.
Yeah, I wasn't necessarily, that's why I'm saying like I wasn't necessarily against it.
Yeah.
It was just an interesting choice.
Exactly, because like it's bold of you to make a claim saying this is what this eldritch being looks like right now. Here's the description of it. Like it's kind of tough. So Wilbur and Nancy come back to the house after their totally normal stroll. They're walking like nothing happened. So that's why I assume it hadn't happened yet. It was some weird fever dream based on the drugs in her tea. I'm not really sure.
I don't know.
But Wilbur's arguing with the old man again, and he wants to bring in the old ones, right? The old gods of eldritch history, right? And then the old Whately is trying to stop him from doing what he failed at with his mother, because that's what we find out when she gave birth to those twins. He was trying to do exactly what Wilbur's trying to do right now. And something so funny happens. I know it's probably terrible to laugh at it, but I laughed really, really hard when this happened. Because old Whately takes a swing at Wilbur with a weak, I'll stop you. And then takes a rather hilarious tumble down the stairs.
He just falls all the way down the stairs.
To his death. He
And
dies.
dies.
Yeah, he just falls and dies. They're at the top of like this spiral staircase. I'm sorry, but it was very funny the way it happened.
Oh, absolutely.
And they give him like this very like cult funeral, which really just means they have a bunch of random tarot cards lying about as they bury him. And there's some interesting camera shots from like up, they're like inside of the grave, and there's shots pointing upwards to Wilbur, who is like performing the rites of this burial for him. I'm not really sure what he's trying to do. But then an angry mob shows up at his funeral while Wilbur is like mid-ritual, and they're kind of shitty about it.
Yeah, they're awful.
Yeah. One of the ladies is like, this is a Christian cemetery. There's no place for your kind. It's like, whoa. It's like,
come on.
There are trails. There are little like crumbs of racism in a sense in this movie still.
And it's just against this family, right?
So yeah, not racism, of course, but like, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Outcasting this outsider. And I guess he was just illegally burying this body because the sheriff shows up. He's like, well, there's no death certificate for this body, so we're gonna have to do the proper paperwork and stuff. And I'm like, why wouldn't they just wait until nighttime if they're gonna bury this body with like trying to be sneaky about it? Hey, what's up, Science Jim?
Hi, I'm back.
You're alive.
Oh my god, I've seen the void. Oh my god.
You okay?
Can I tell you who I saw?
Who did you see?
Azathan Abalos, Cthulhu Nyarlathotep, Hastur Musaba, Arwasa, and Bakruk, Chagaram Fagifa, Vulalum, Veles, Bastan, Bayatis, Cthulhu, and Chat. I didn't summon an old one. They were always there when the world was turning. I didn't stop an old one. He took my brain over, made it mush.
And scene. Is he dead again? Should we check for a pulse? Yeah, no, he's dead, guys. He's dead again.
Oh, shit.
Just to give us a list of the old ones. Well, thanks for that, Science Jim. Your sacrifice will be noted. We will remember you fondly. We'll build a statue in your name. This is a list of old ones.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I don't know how I got there, but the song got in my head.
No,
I was
it's
like, this will be funny.
We're gonna put that on our podcast album that we release someday.
Kid actors.
Yeah, we made. Yeah, you know the hits. You love.
Everybody knows kid actors.
Yeah, we perform in concert. We get up there. Someone's like, "Play kid actors."
Oh my god, we always play kid actors.
Every time, everybody wants kid actors. You know, what about we didn't summon the old ones?
Yeah,
You know,
nobody
we love
wants
that
to
one.
hear we didn't summon the old ones.
So Wilbur is breaking into Arkham University now. He grabs the Necronomicon with ease, but a security guard stops him quickly, and they get into like what I described as a very 70s scrap. There's something about their fight choreography that feels like it belongs belongs in a 70s movie.
My favorite thing about this, though, is it was completely silent.
That bothered me.
Completely silent.
It is an intense moment, but without any music, and it really needed it. I hated the silence. They've got this kick-ass soundtrack throughout most of the movie. You know, the what is it? The fertility rites had better music than this.
The part where, like, you see him like pull her boob out of her shirt, and the music got like more intense there than it did in the fight sequence.
It literally just didn't happen. There just was no music in the scene, and it really, really bothered me, especially since the fight was so long. It was such a long fight sequence. But the security guard does best him temporarily after they fight through like 4 different rooms in this library.
It's so stupid.
But then Wilbur steals a weapon from like this decorative knight that's just there and just stabs through the security guard with it. So he wins.
Yep.
Also, there's a little side note here where Lavinia, who is Wilbur's mom, is just dying now.
Is she dead
I don't
now?
really know why it's happening, but she's having these very colorful visions, just like that kill scene that we saw earlier in the house, right? And she keeps moaning way too sexually again. So first she was moaning too sexually during birth, now too sexually during death. It's like she knows how to moan one way.
So in the book, Wilbur dies here.
Oh yeah.
During this sequence, I was excited. I was like, he's gonna die. I think that's the best strength of that book is that Wilbur dies off so early.
I love that kind of stuff.
He breaks into the library to steal the Necronomicon, just like he does in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a dog who thinks it literally is described as he smells bad, so the dog gets mad and kills him.
Got killed he smelled so bad a dog had to kill him about it.
And I mean, it is because like he has those like Lovecraftian fumes or those eldritch fumes on him.
Right, he's got
so
that
it's like it
Lovecraft-
kind of drives him crazy.
He's got that eldritch musk.
Oh God.
Let's release a
Eldritch
perfume.
musk. You want to smell like Cthulhu? How about Nyarlathotep?
You want to smell like the deep old ones?
You want to smell like a deep old one? Try Lovecraft musk.
Every
spritz has like tentacles that come out.
I'm liking that visual. I like it a lot. But so yeah, he successfully steals the Necronomicon. His mom is dying somewhere, and then like there's a weird comment. You mentioned this was something in the books. They start commenting about how like the birds outside of the window are cooing in rhythm with her breathing. Which is kind of funny because they mentioned it sounds like birds. It sounds alien to me. It does not sound like a bunch of birds.
No, it was weird.
But yeah, she talks about Yog-Sothoth and her sons for a minute, and then dies. She's just dead. Bye, I guess. Wilbur is deep in the ritual now. Necronomicon, check. Chalice, check. Virgin, check. Smoky atmosphere,
check.
You betcha. It's up there.
Stinky, smelly, gross man?
Aw. Not there. Goatish features? No, not in this one,
dang it, frick.
unfortunately. In her coma state, Nancy starts chanting Yog-Sothoth, and he calls to his brother of darkness, summoning him from his prison. And that's his brother locked in that room that's up in the house. So that's the twin.
Yog-Sothoth.
It was not stillborn. It was some kind of eldritch horror that was created from the birth. So that's his brother.
Maybe a horror in Dunwich sips tea.
In a Dunwich Horror sips tea. So yeah, as it's leaving that locked room, it like sets fire to the house. So now Whately Manor is burning to the ground, and now we suddenly cut to a random house of some of the townsfolk from that angry mob. Their dog starts barking at something, and then chases nothing out to their barn. So the farmer dude goes out to check it. He grabs his shotgun because that's all farmers do in movies. So like, I'm gonna go check out this commotion. What's going on here? And then he just starts shooting at something in the barn. We can't see it.
No.
But then his entire house starts to collapse and crumble. The walls are starting to come apart like there's an earthquake or something.
This is the most impressive, like, practical scene in the movie, though, because, like, the house does start crumbling. They only show bits and pieces, though, and I'm convinced they just, like, went to Home Depot or whatever it was in 1970.
Got some drywall.
And got some drywall, and then just, like, cracked it, which is cool. I'm not, like, against it. I'm not saying
works.
that's bad.
I love
it was
innovative
effective.
ways to come up with practical effects, right? I love that kind of stuff. But yeah, I was like, probably you're right. The most impressive use of practical effects in the entire movie, because there's
Only effective practical effects in the movie?
Maybe it is. But yeah, so there's more of those flashy colors, right? So like we're gonna see most of that. That's how the kills are gonna go for the rest of this movie, pretty much. But then the mob, the angry mob, shows up after this after the destruction, and they decide
the angry mob.
pretty quickly that the Whateleys are responsible. I don't know how or why, but they're like they're responsible for this. So they're like, let's go kill Wilbur. But then Henry Armitage is like, whoa, hold on. Wilbur may be the only man that can save us. So he has all of the townsfolk follow him to Whately Manor. He's like, let's all go talk to Wilbur. I'm sure he's of sane mind. He'll help us out of this pickle.
And then one of the best scenes is also one of the worst scenes happen in this
Yeah.
movie, where they're all just like running through a field, and there's just like a
man.
bunch of different B-roll shots of
Yes.
these people just running through a field.
Like, there ain't much to say about any of these kill scenes. The camera just gets up close to a person as they scream at it, and then there's just this rainbow of colors that fills the screen, and then they die. Like, that's all it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the townsfolk find Whately Manor, like, burning to the ground, and there's been this underlying heartbeat sound for I don't know how long, but it's been in, like, every scene for a while now.
Yeah.
And so they all start to make their way to the Devil's Hop Yard, and yeah, something is stalking them through the woods, and then it strikes. More colors, more of the same uninteresting kills. This scene bothered me because it's suddenly morning in some of these scenes. Like, it is straight up like daylight
Yeah,
outside. It is
man.
no longer nighttime. And everyone is dying. Like, whatever his brother of darkness is, this eldritch beast is just killing everybody in this angry mob.
It's true.
But then, no, it's nighttime again. Don't even worry about it. The continuity is terrible. It really, really bothered me. But so now
there was no continuity.
the only ones left alive are Dr. Corey and Dr. Henry Armitage, who approach the steps of the Devil's Hop Yard. Armitage and Wilbur just start shouting random Necronomicon words at each other.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're saying.
Cthulhu. No, not Cthulhu. It's like Yag Sothoth, Yag Rabafoff.
And they're like fighting this exchange of words, and then a lightning form starts to form as the ritual continues. Wilbur is starting to lose it. He's struggling to fight against Henry Armitage's words. And then Wilbur suddenly burns to death in a burst of flames and falls off the cliff. It is a wild sequence. But he leaves behind this like cloud of smoke, this like red smoke. And in the smoke that he leaves behind, we see the face of like, I think Yog Sothoth or like his brother. I'm not really sure exactly who it is. Which is just like a sad-looking face with about 1 million snakes around it, like some biblically accurate Medusa or something.
Imagine if the baby from Teletubbies in the sun had like a bunch of tentacles,
Yeah.
and was in a small cloud.
Yeah. So anyway, he dies.
Yeah.
And they win, I guess. So as they're walking away, it's like Dr. Corey, Dr. Armitage walk away with Nancy. They're like, "It's okay, you're safe now." She's like, "Oh, thanks. I'm so glad you guys saved me." But then
it does the stupid thing that it always does, where it zooms in on her belly, and all you see is a little baby in there, and then a heartbeat, and then credits.
So it's just like the ending of like, what was it, Elves that we just
Yeah, it was
watched?
Elves.
Where this weird, like, trying to impregnate somebody weirdness, and then like it's like, oh no, they succeeded because now there's a baby in there. And then the movie ends. That's it.
So the book, I'll go over really, really quick how this all played out in the book, because it is different. So when he goes to pick up the Necronomicon, because he put it on hold, no, I'm just kidding. He goes to the library to steal it, right? The dog kills him. At this point, his mom had randomly disappeared. No one knew where she was.
Yep.
She wasn't in an insane asylum. She
No.
was just crazy as it was. Old man Whately did die. His body disappeared. No one knows where it went. People from the town started going crazy. But since he's dead in the library, there's no one there to tend to Yog Sothoth, who's like growing in the house. So what ends up happening is the house just kind of eventually explodes.
Because no one can take care of it.
And no one tends it, no one stops it from growing. So this giant creature just starts running through the town and killing lots of people. The book, actually, the last couple chapters are just Dr. Armitage and his like other couple people. Like, they go and kill Yog Sothoth on that hill. It's called something different in the book, though. It's called Sentinel Hill.
Sentinel Hill, yeah.
And they end up killing him with Necronomicon spells, and that's how the book ends.
Yeah. So let's discuss our expectations for this one here. I said very Giallo vibes, and mostly just in the musical scoring and in some of the camera work, not necessarily in a lot of other senses of the words. It didn't quite give me the same vibe throughout. The trailer did a very good job of giving that same vibe, but not quite so much in the movie all throughout.
Yeah. Also, I should mention there were like 15 kills.
Oh, yeah,
in the movie.
that's right, 'cause a bunch
it was
of
hard
random-
to keep track because a lot of random people died.
A lot of random townsfolk like maybe died. You didn't get any confirmation. No gore whatsoever.
No.
No.
Nothing like the book, but when has it ever been? I bet Wilbur doesn't even die. It was closer than I thought.
Yeah, closer than
but
expected.
still so many liberties were taken. Like, Wilbur didn't even die.
No,
So-
yeah. I said incredible visuals and popping colors, and I don't know about incredible, but there were some good ones. The interior sets of the house were pretty fun, but I was definitely right about those popping colors because, all of the kills just had color to it. That's really all they had. So really color out of space, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Super fun vibe. I mean, kind of. It almost worked. It just all felt kind of lazy to me. Like, there wasn't any effort put into the movie. It was all just kind of like, oh, well, we didn't really talk about this a lot, but there were a lot of reused shots.
Yes.
So like there were a lot of like well, they didn't use drones, but like there were a lot of like through field shots, or like there was the shot of like a river that was played backwards quickly. So it looked like there was wind going across the river quickly, but it was not effective, but they kept using it. They reused that shot a lot.
Yeah.
There were a lot of those like reused shots, and it just felt very lazy to me.
I said music's so good it will distract from the movie, and the music was easily one of the best parts, though sometimes it just wasn't there when the movie really needed it, i.e. like that one fight scene between Wilbur and the security guard.
Yeah.
It's like, why? This really could have used some music. Because there's some great scenes, specifically in Giallo movies, where there's like murder sequences happening, and they're so great because of the music behind it.
It's true. I'm hoping for overly sexy for no reason. Yeah, man. Like there were so many just stupid sexy moments that weren't even sexy. They were just annoying.
No, absolutely not. I said that it will stray very far from the story, and like based on what Derek says, it seems like it was more faithful than we were expecting, but it definitely what am I trying to say? It took some liberties for sure on what it was doing there, which is to be expected with really any film like that, right?
I was hoping for like a middle story, I guess now that you know the story, I can kind of explain what I meant here. I was really hoping for like this is like a story of someone getting taken to Yog-Sothoth, right? To get fed to the creature. I wanted like Wilbur like showing how he did that. And I didn't really get that at all. I mean, I did like a little bit. It did seem like maybe he was feeding people to it, but also the grandpa was afraid of it and not helping, which he was in the book. Yeah. And I wanted to know more about Yagi-Sathi Senpai, and I didn't.
Also, the movie that I keep trying to reference that I couldn't remember the name of is called Deep Red from 1975, directed by Dario Argento. Very fun movie. Just go look up like kill sequences in that movie because the music behind them is so much fun.
Cool.
And then my last expectation was just wicked horny, and yes, as is all horror from the 70s, it is all horny all the time.
All horny all the time. Not great practical effects. What? No, none.
Yeah,
it was so boring as far as that went.
So for surprises for me, I said the music was a bop and a half, but what really stuck out was that long fight scene in complete silence. The fertility rites had better music than that scene did, and it was kind of sad for me. The lack of a monster was kind of surprising to me, though I do appreciate not trying to take a swing at an unknowable being, but their workarounds for that were not incredibly interesting, and almost every kill felt the same once you had the first one happen. I was surprised that there was zero gore, like zero practical effects really of any kind, kind of a letdown for that reason, especially since it is a 70s horror movie, which are known to me personally for like their very fun, weird uses of practical effects. Yeah. If they look bad and cheesy, that's something more charming about them, but this one just didn't really have any besides like, the house falling apart and like the occasional eldritch being with like all of those snake heads flopping off of it. I was surprised by how robotic everybody sounded. Like every actor was simply just reading lines from a page. There was just no emotion in any of it. And then my final surprise was just based on Derek's reactions, it wasn't too far from the books, which usually happens in these book to movie adaptations and these Lovecraft stories specifically. But I was kind of happy that like it had a decent amount of like the source material within it.
And that's my first surprise, how close they kept to the source material. Yeah, there were some big changes, but I expected more. I expected more of a Reanimator, right, where they took the core idea and just went with it. How boring the acting from Wilbur was. It's like no one should be that boring on screen at all. And I read somewhere that he was supposed to be a different actor. Can't remember who, but like
there were a couple actually. There's a lot of like changing between directors and wanting different actors in this movie, and it just never came to be.
How they showed so many of the same shot multiple times. That really surprised me. It seemed so lazy. Like they had a quota. They had to get an hour and 20 minutes or whatever this movie was. And instead of just like settling for less, they showed the same shot over and over and over.
Yes, exactly.
The ending bullshit. I mean, that was just so stupid. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. No. The bop and music was great. And yeah, like you said, like they were all just robots. So,
yeah, exactly. Verdicts for me. I haven't had this one in a while. That was a movie. That's what this was for me. I had higher expectations for this film, but it felt just very middle of the road for me. There was never much suspense. The story kind of dragged. None of the kills were very fun, but it was like good enough to keep me around and not regret watching. And then the credits were just a bit of a relief for me in this movie. So like leaning more towards the less good side than good, but like it wasn't like terrible. It just wasn't great. It never went anywhere. It just like didn't live up to really any expectations I had for it, which is sad because I was pretty excited going into this movie.
For sure.
What's your verdict?
For me, that was Borable. Though the Dunwich Horror didn't have any scary bits, it's scary to think that someone thought this was scary once. With the bland acting and the repeated shots for screen time, I'd say you're better off just listening to an abridged version of the original story or just succumb to an old one.
Honestly, though. And it's my turn to succumb to the old one. It is me, blah, blah, count
dude?
trivia. It is my turn. Do I get to do all the science bits now that Science Jim is dead?
I think he's okay.
Can we talk about that? No, he's dead.
No, I think he's
checked.
okay.
No, I checked. He's dead. I watched. He's dead. No, look at him. Look at his corpse. He is a husk of the man he was. So, how about them science? I don't know anything about science. I don't know how to do this. Jim! Oh, Jim! Sorry, I wasn't touching that science for you. Here you go. It's your science.
Martha.
Martha? Who's Martha?
Ma.
And he's dead again. Okay, so back to the side. No, it's science.
Who's Martha?
No, science trivia. You do the trivia. Please give me trivia. Oh, yeah, I have that too. Here you go. Okay. Thank you.
Science trivia, you do the trivia.
It just doesn't work, Science trivia just ain't work. All right, so
It ain't work.
There's the odd symbol that appears again and again. It's on Wilbur's ring. It's on the grandfather's staff. We didn't mention that he has a staff. It was also on Lavinia, his mom's forehead. That design, it's also on the main floor of their house, etc. It's actually an ancient Native American symbol commonly termed Thunderbird in Sun. So that's where that symbol hails from. 2 sound stages were built for Sandra Dee, who played Nancy, for her nude scene to prevent peeping toms. One sound stage was used to shoot the scene, and the other was used to house the cast not needed in the shot.
Okay, I called this.
Yep.
Not the nude thing, but I called that they were in a set here because the way that it went from being so dark to when they were on this hill, the lighting was so weird.
Yep.
I remember we were talking about the lighting being weird here, and I totally knew they were in a set.
Which I totally respect, for the sake of the actress who didn't feel comfortable with it. Also, they had a body double for it anyway. It's like, there's like
at least they didn't force her. They should have just taken it out of it, honestly, but
it didn't really help anything. But anyway, so they had 2 separate stages specifically to keep the peeping toms away. In a Psychotronic magazine interview, number 21 in 1985, Dean Stockwell, who played Wilbur in this movie, stated, "I happen to be a fan of H.P. Lovecraft, and it was nothing like H.P. Lovecraft."
Yeah.
So that was a little disappointing, kind of sophomoric, but not what you really call a horror film, whereas Lovecraft's writing can be scary at times. So he basically just
at least he knew.
Didn't have a lot of love for this movie. He was very aware. It is worth mentioning, though, Dean Stockwell also appeared in another film adaptation of the Dunwich Horror in 2009, alongside Jeffrey Combs.
My boy.
Yeah, but this time Dean Stockwell played Henry Armitage instead of Wilbur, and Wilbur was played by Jeffrey Combs, which is kind of funny because throughout the movie I kept mentioning how Wilbur kind of felt like Herbert West's boring cousin from Reanimator, right? That was the vibe that I was getting.
For sure.
The film was announced several times by AIP before they actually made it. In 1968, it seemed ready to go with Peter Fonda in the lead and Ray Russell named as the writer on the project. Advertising was even prepared with these 2 prominently featured, although the title at that time was simply Dunwich. So didn't end up going that direction with it at all. The famous horror author Stephen King was inspired by this book, which he found in an old trunk left by his father and helped to launch his extremely successful and prolific career.
Cool.
So we have the Dunwich Horror
the
to
book
blame
is great.
for all
it's
of
very
Stephen King's Stephen Horror
Stephen
stuff. And then finally, the film features Talia Shire as a nurse in the movie, who is the mother of Jason Schwartzman, which is kind of interesting.
Cool.
Yeah. So what's our next movie, Derek?
Well, we were talking about it, and we were going to go see Night Swim because it was a new horror movie in theaters. And then
maybe do like a not so horrible episode on it, but then
it's sitting at a 26 on Rotten Tomatoes now, guys.
Which is a point less than what I saw yesterday when I wrote about it. It was at a 27. Now it's at a 26. So it seems to be going down in the ratings.
So we're going to go see Night Swim. So you don't
check it out. Yeah, exactly. So
unless you want to, then you go see it too between now and next week, and maybe we'll talk about it together.
Yeah, tune in. We're going to talk about all the wonderful swimming in it. It's just like, it's a funny concept to me. It's like we've had enough of haunted houses. What can we do? Oh, a haunted pool is basically the premise.
It's another one that's based on a short story, which very rarely, a short film.
Yeah.
It very rarely works.
I do kind of want to see the short film. I think it was made in like 2014,
we should watch it.
I want to say, something like that. Either way, we're going to check out Night Swim, and we're going to dive into that movie. So please tune in next week.
We're doing another water movie. We've done too many water movies.
Bound to happen. It's been too long since we've done a water movie. We need to go back to our roots. We need to get wet with it again. we're going to take all our mice and jump into the river.
I'm going to go straight to Cinemark. I'm going to throw my mice at that counter. I'm going to say, get me wet.
And you know what helps us get more mice? People checking us out on our social media.
We don't make money.
No, we don't. So we're on Instagram at _was_horrible, Twitter at TWH Podcast, Facebook at That Was Horrible Podcast, YouTube at That Was Horrible, and TikTok at That Was Horrible. Not That Wash Horrible, which is what it looks like
That Wash
sometimes.
Horrible.
But so yeah, we don't make really any money on this podcast, so we got to go we got to make some mice.
We got to make some mice.
I'm hearing them in the walls. We got to go. We got to get out. No, there's not any mice in the walls. Oh God, maybe there are mice in the walls. Oh my, we got to get a cat. Garfield, are you with me? Let's go hunt some mice. Here we
I'm going to go take Science Jim to a doctor.
I'm sure it'll be fine. Tune in next week to see the thrilling continuation.
Continuation of Science Jim's ventures into the old gods.
Next week, will he make it or won't he? Tune in next week on That Was Horrible.
Stay
in the meantime, stay spooky.
Goodbye.